Very patient, long-suffering speaker, Scott Kukowski, PMP. Grew up in Wisconsin. We had a lot of similar Kukowski kinds of names up there. All right, so the title of his presentation is Optimizing Your LinkedIn Profile. Scott has been providing professional career coaching services locally in Austin and remotely across North America, Europe, Asia, and South America for 11 years. He has helped over 1,200 clients to fine-tune their job and career search strategies. He has garnered over 70 stellar reviews on Yelp, Google, and LinkedIn, leading the Austin career counseling and coaching industry with the most 5-star reviews. He has also spoken at several professional venues, including as keynote speaker for PMI Austin chapter, and monthly chapter meetings, Hyperion Solutions global conferences in Florida and Colorado, APICS Austin Professional Development Meeting, Texas Recruiters Association, and Central Texas Society of Chartered Property and Casualty Underwriters. He has also been interviewed and quoted by Dice.com. His areas of expertise include assisting individuals with career transition, brand development, resume writing and reviewing, interview techniques, LinkedIn tuning, network development, salary negotiation, and career assessment. He offers his services through his company, Career Branding Experts. Let's give a wonderful, friendly Launchpad welcome to Scott Kukowski.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? It's working? Okay, good. So thank you for that introduction. I am actually pretty honored to be here, and I've been referring people over to the Launchpad Job Club for probably 10 years. When I first heard about it. And actually, one of my clients had said, Scott, you should probably present here since you've been talking about them for a long time. And so I was referred over to do this. And so this is my first time speaking here. And but as you heard, I've spoken in a lot of different venues, a lot of different opportunities. And one of the things I'm going to say I'm really extremely impressed about is this handout right here. Wow, I was sitting there reading through this thing. This is just like your one-stop shop for everything, and everything I read in here is just dead on. And so kudos to those of you that have put this together, because wow. And so I sort of have a little disclosure. I feel a little guilty. I don't think what I was going to go into, I think for many of you, what I'm going into is maybe a little less advanced than you were hoping for. So I'm going to try and skim through that stuff, the less advanced stuff. I'm going to try and skim through some of that stuff, and then open it up for questions. I've been using LinkedIn since it first started, way back when it was just only for tech people in the Silicon Valley. Of course, it's a whole different animal today than it ever was, especially since Microsoft bought them out a couple of years ago. And now, of course, before it was stable, now it's really buggy, but we've got a lot of features. And so it's become a really amazing tool. And so, as you mentioned, I do career coaching. This is what I do. I focus only on branding, which I put in that bucket career identification as well. So helping people when they're going through a career transition or right out of college, maybe they went to school and found out that that wasn't what they wanted to do, which happens to a lot of people. And but primarily, most of my focus is around resume review work, resume writing sometimes. I always encourage people to write their own resume if they can. I don't push my resume writing services because I found when people write their own resume, they interview so much better. They feel comfortable with what's on there. They're going to have a much better resume as long as they have the right guidance to do that. And so I know this is a good team that helps do some of that. And of course, LinkedIn, interviewing, and then job search strategy. And so I was going to talk about this, so connecting on LinkedIn. Now you can't see it very well, poor choice of colors here, but doing the whole connect on LinkedIn, so hopefully some of you have connected with me. Hopefully I was running when you guys were looking, but let's get connected. All right, so LinkedIn is the largest professional networking tool out there. A lot of people like to call it social media. It is not social media. Yeah, there's a little aspect to it of social media, but it is a business tool. One of the biggest pushbacks I get from a lot of my clients is like, I don't want to be on social media. I'm scared of social media. Well, don't think about it that way, because it really isn't. It is a tool that, I really got to work on that with the colors. It is a tool that is used by 65 million users across the world, okay? It's great for job searching, networking. Salespeople use it, marketing people use it. Of course, we all know recruiters use it. 90% of recruiters are on LinkedIn, okay? And so those are pretty hefty numbers when you're looking at it. And the other 10% of recruiters, you know, maybe don't work with them. So companies are out there. Did I have the number of companies on there? I think that's the slide that's coming next year. That one's going to come up here. Companies are using LinkedIn. They use it to post their jobs. They use it to mainly to research, identify, and confirm authenticity of job candidates. So that changed, that usage changed during the recession. When we went through that recession, a lot of people, a lot of us were out there desperate. And we were applying for project manager jobs, we were applying for sales jobs, we were applying for accounting jobs, we were applying for everything that we could. And they were just, the hiring managers were getting inundated with resumes, so they had to figure out a way that they could confirm who you actually were, because you probably had 20 different kind of resumes and 20 different brands. And so they started looking at LinkedIn. And you can only have one LinkedIn profile. And so that started this real big trend of people really starting to use LinkedIn in the job search process. And it's really taken off since then. And then from that point forward, we started really hearing about people talking about personal and career brand. And it became a really important thing that you need to define your brand and you need to stick to it when you're in your job search process. Because they're interested in hiring people who are willing to make a transition. They're not interested in hiring people that are willing to take any job that they can get. They want people who want to be specialized. They want people who are willing to put the effort into the job, not just to get a job. So branding is really important. And I'm sure you guys have all heard that story before. Here's a number, why you should use it. Like I said, 90% of recruiters are using it. 93% of hiring managers actually use it to vet their candidates. It's used to passively and actively network yourself as a subject matter expert. In case of you that don't know what a SME is, it stands for subject matter expert, somebody that's expert in your field. And so LinkedIn is an amazing tool to be able to sell yourself out there as that subject matter expert or somebody that's trying to become that subject matter expert. And we'll talk about some of those ways that you can do that. Okay, here's all the numbers that I'm throwing out there. So what did I say? Let's see. 92% of Fortune 500 companies are using it. I suspect it's higher than that. There are 20 million job openings out there right now. Actually, a lot of them are in tech, and a lot of them are here in Austin. 39% of users are premium. 44% of users are women. Basically, it's being used. And my point is, get out there and use it. To me, and what I like to say is LinkedIn is more important than your resume in the job search process, but if you don't have a good resume, you're not going to have a good LinkedIn profile. So you got to have both. All right. Personal brand, basically marketing yourself, right, for the purpose of your career. All right. I'm going to skim through some of this stuff, but basically your brand, it's your story, it's your value, it's your image. The market you're going after is going to be Google, LinkedIn, social media, SEO. You guys teach a lot of that stuff. I encourage you to keep coming back and learning about those kind of things. Your ultimate goal is to sell yourself as a subject matter expert. Even if you're starting out in that field, you can still be an expert at your level, okay, and where you're at, okay. You want to become that invaluable asset. You want to be that go-to person. You want to be able to use that leverage to build your network. Your network is important. Everybody knows now that the best way to get a job is through your network, right? You've heard that. And there are a lot of you out there that don't really have a network. You just moved into the area. Maybe you're more on the introverted side. A lot of us are. I am too. I know I'm standing up here speaking, but we're on that introverted side. It's a little bit more difficult to network. LinkedIn is a great tool if you're introverted in being able to reach out there. And you don't necessarily have to know the people that you're connecting to, as long as people you know those people. Because then you can leverage that network connection to make that happen. You can say, you and I know this person, and you can try to make things happen. Or maybe you went to the same school. Find something in common as part of that process. But it will help you improve your opportunity to get a job and to get that next promotion. All right, now we're going to get into some of this optimization stuff. Two things I like to talk about when I do my initial consultation with my clients are four big things that I talk about in my initial consultations with my clients, which, by the way, I didn't mention. I do offer a 30-minute complimentary initial consultation where I talk about what your needs are and how I can help you. So that's out there. And just go to my website, connect with me, and you'll see the link to be able to do that. But the four things that I talk about is, that I talk about what I train in my LinkedIn training is your profile, getting your profile up to date, the settings. There are some pretty amazing settings that you can leverage in the job search process that people aren't even aware of. The active side of networking, which is reaching out to people in contact, in your contacts to try to make something happen, and then the passive side of networking. Other of us might call that SEO, search engine optimization. Is there anybody here that doesn't understand what SEO is? Okay, so I'll explain it. Search engine optimization is just like when you go out to the web and you're searching for career coaching. For example, you're looking for a career coach. There's a reason why certain businesses show up higher than others, and that's called SEO, search engine optimization. And so a lot of people think it's just about keywords. It's not. Keywords is that much of it. Just like in the job search process. Yeah, we've got to do the keyword search. You were talking about making sure you earlier with the new group here, you were talking about what's the name of the tool? JobScan. Using JobScan to try and make sure you get those keywords. That's a part of it, but when you think about the whole picture of the job search process, it's that much of it. You've got to do all these other things too, and that's what SEO is about. You've got to actually do specific activities to make sure that you show up as well. So just having the right words in there is not going to get you there 100%. It will get you there a little bit, but there's so many more things that you need to do to make that happen. And so that's SEO. And so those are the main things that I talk about in my training when I go through this. And so some of the things that I think are really important, in fact I know are really important, go into LinkedIn every single day. This is one thing I'm going to tell you, you just got to do it. Every single day, go make some kind of change, some kind of update every single day. Twice a day is even better. I'm not saying you have to spend an hour doing it. I'm not saying anything like that. You can spend 10 minutes, go through and like a few things. Somebody's got a birthday, an anniversary that pops up in the feed, like those. Those are activities. You're waking up LinkedIn basically saying, hello, I'm here, take care of me, okay? There are some things that you can do that add more value, or what I call points. I don't know what the term is, but it gives you more value by doing them. One of those things is actually writing an article. So if you are a subject matter expert in your field, which some of you are, go out and write an article. Write a mini blog. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be just a couple of pages. So okay, so what I'm talking about here is this button right here, write an article. Okay, And so that's different than starting a post. Writing an article, this is the stuff LinkedIn wants. They want you to basically write things so people can read it, which will hopefully draw more people to their website. It's like free advertisement for them. It's like getting free writers. So if you can write an article, they're going to give you a lot of points for that. Okay, so that's a big deal. The other thing you can do that a lot of people don't even realize that you can do, I mean, you know you can do it, you just don't realize how important it is. Go into the About section and change, see if I can scroll down here a little bit. Oh, wrong one. Let me minimize that. Sometimes you wouldn't think I came from tech. 23 years in tech and I can't use a computer anymore. All right. And so change something in the About section. I don't care what it is. Add an extra space behind a period. Next time, remove that space. Make a change. This is another thing. You're telling LinkedIn, I'm active. I'm using my profile. This is like the #2 most important thing, and it's the easiest thing you can possibly do.
So is this what you're talking about in terms of search engine optimization?
Yes.
The number of times instead of just going in and changing from the to a?
Yeah. Just adding something, a minor. Well, I say do this about once a week. Don't do it too often. This is my little secret. I stumbled on this one by accident. And so all of a sudden I did this, and I'm like, I was showing up for a week in searches right at the top. And I'm like, how the heck? That was the only thing I did. And it makes sense. And I'm going to tell you on your Indeed profile as well. You'd mentioned earlier, go upload your resume. I watched the class here. I was just intrigued. And she was mentioning, make sure you get your resume up on Indeed. Well, just putting your resume up there isn't good enough. Every week, make a little change. Add that extra space in there. It wakes up your profile again. Right? It's basically saying, I'm here. And they track that. Because after a while, that's how they know you're not in the job search anymore, is because you're not doing anything on your profile, right? You're not doing anything on your resume. So they slowly have you go to the bottom of the bin when they're searching for people. So if you keep your profile up to date, you keep updating something, you're going to show up higher. Same thing here.
With all these updates that you're doing, do you ever get pushback from people saying, hey, I heard enough from you, don't bother me anymore? Is that
Exactly.
So these ones are easy because they're not getting any notification. No notification goes out when you do this, right? So all that's happening is you're sending this backdoor message into the tool. But yeah, when it comes to writing, coming back to your question, coming to writing an article. So there's some things that I say do more often than others. Something like writing an article. Once every 2 weeks is fine. I don't recommend writing one every day. I don't know how much value that's going to be, and you're going to run out of data to write about really quickly. And so once every couple of weeks, if you want to do that, there are certain fields that I highly recommend that you do that in. In some fields, I recommend you don't. The fields I recommend you do that. Product managers, they're always posting articles and writing things, so you have to compete with other product managers that are doing that. Marketing people, the same thing. Executive, they have somebody do it for them, but they get articles that are posted out there. When you're competing with those, you've got to compete the same way. You have to write those articles. But the other thing that you can do a little bit easier to respond to that is you can start a post, all right? And so this is like on Facebook, those of you that are on Facebook, it's just sharing something, a thought of the day. And what I mean by thought of the day is not like I went and had coffee with my girlfriend today. It's you know, I just was reviewing this document and I found that there's this really great technique that's called the STAR technique in the job search process, and you guys should really look into that. Something like that. Something related to either your brand, like a leadership thing, if you're a project manager, something about project management, you know, those kind of things. But yeah, you can go crazy and get carried away in everything. But the other thing you can do is, one of my favorite ones is just to go into these notifications. And I do this every day. I'll go off and congratulate people on getting that next job. I will go through and say happy birthday to them when they post an article that shows up in here. I'll go like their article. I'll put a comment in there. That doesn't just help me, that helps them. Because every time I do something on their profile by liking or commenting, their SEO is being bumped up too. And so I'm helping him and hopefully going to do the same thing back for me as time goes on. And that's going to bump up your SEO in the back end. And so those are some of the things that you can do.
Where is the About section? I mean, it's not in profile. I have it open.
Oh, yeah. So it's under, so you can go under, there's two ways you can get there. When you're in the home screen, you can do it by selecting your picture.
Oh.
Okay, or you can do it by going under me up here in the upper right-hand corner and do view profile. Either way works. And then it's right here, down here at the, see that?
See, I don't have that when I do that, but I'll figure,
You might not have it's a field that you have to add in if you haven't added it in yet. So, yeah, so right here in the
Yes,
add
add
page,
profile
yep,
section. Thank you so
and then
much.
it's in there, yeah, if you don't have it.
And then the other thing is, do your settings to do the search engine optimization to get the benefit of when you comment or write an article. Does LinkedIn recognize it universally, or do your settings have to say publicly announce it?
There's no settings for that, so you're okay, yeah, just publish and you're good. Yep. Did I see another hand up? Okay. And so, connecting with people, that counts as an SEO activity. Writing a recommendation for somebody, that counts as an SEO activity. Accepting or recommending somebody and getting somebody to recommend you is an activity. Endorsing somebody's skills, which I think is sort of a silly part of the tool anyway, but it counts as an SEO tool. And so pretty much any kind of activity that you do can really bump up your SEO. And I recommend every day do something. Don't do the big ones every day. Don't change your profile every day. Don't write an article. I did have somebody that was writing, he heard me say this, write an article. He was writing 2 articles a week, or 2 articles a day. And I'm like, yeah, that might be a little much. But yeah, be active on LinkedIn.
Messaging within the LinkedIn application, does it show up as SEO at all?
Messages? I don't think so. I haven't seen any data or evidence, or in any of my testing, I haven't seen that messaging does anything to bump it up, unfortunately. It has to be more some kind of activity that shows that to LinkedIn versus to other people.
So is job search one of those?
No. Yeah, so just selecting on jobs and just applying.
Looking at people's profiles?
Not looking at people's profiles, but connecting with them.
What about following companies?
I'm sorry?
Following companies?
Following companies can help, but it doesn't help you with SEO. It can help a little bit in the job search process, but no, I haven't seen that really does much.
Could you put the slide that
Yep. Okay. Groups. Are you guys aware of groups? Anybody not aware of groups on LinkedIn? Groups. Groups? On LinkedIn, anybody not aware? Okay. So post on groups. Joining groups actually does count as an SEO activity. Okay? Because it's showing activity and that you want to be participants in an activity. Posting in a group is an activity that'll bump up your SEO. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. And so I do say every day, follow up on your message requests. How many of you have, like, a bunch of people have tried to connect with you and you haven't accepted their connection request and they're just sitting there? Okay, that is the absolute wrong thing that you want to do. Okay, I'm not saying you should connect with these people by any means. You should always check out their profile, and if it's somebody you don't know, if they have less than 500 connections, proceed with caution. If they live outside the country, proceed with caution. There's a lot of different spammer activity that come in. They do that to get your email address, your phone number, things like that. So proceed with caution. But if you're not going to accept them, X them out. Get them off your screen so that when new requests come in, it could be a recruiter that is trying to reach out to you. So here's something a lot of people don't know. The recruiters have to pay to use the service. Just like if we want to do premium, the recruiters have to do premium. 90% of recruiters use premium, right? Only 40% of those are actually paying for premium. okay? And so the other 60% aren't, and so they don't have access to those premium tools. And so the best way for them to reach out to you is, one, if you're paying for premium, then you have this thing that's automatically called open profile messaging, and anybody can send a message to you, okay? That's, to me, the only benefit of being on premium, by the way, is open profile messaging, and maybe some of the statistics you can get from it.
Oh, you said that's the only thing you really see is the pay. I was going to ask.
Yeah, that's really it. And so, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Premium, open profile messaging, people contacting you, recruiters.
Yes, okay, so yeah, the recruiter's contacting you. I hate this thing about getting older and forgetting what we're talking about. Those 60% of recruiters are not paying for the service, so they have to reach out to you somehow, right, if they have a job. So what do? They connect with you. And so if you're not reviewing those activities and not accepting those connection requests, you may be missing out on some job opportunities. And by the way, it's not just recruiters, it's hiring managers that are doing this too in smaller companies. They don't have recruiters, and they're not paying for those recruiters, so they're reaching out to you.
One question. So, who's reaching out to you versus who's LinkedIn, because I get it a full of LinkedIn says, you should contact this person.
Oh, the connection page? Yeah.
Or, right, that's what I mean. So pay attention to who's asking you versus LinkedIn suggesting leadership.
It's not binary, so you don't have to do one or the other, so you can do both, right? And so, yes, when they're trying to connect with you, absolutely check out their profile. I put higher priority on that, yes. Just because you want to make sure. We don't know why they're connecting. Now, I will say, as I mentioned before, it's a business tool, so marketing people reach out. There's these people that are called sourcers in the recruiting world. Not sorcerers, they're sourcers. And so, I don't know if you guys know this, there's 3 different kind of recruiters out there in general. Whether they're internal recruiters or external recruiters, there's 3 different kind of recruiters. There's a regular recruiter, the headhunter that we're used to. They may be working in a company, they could be an independent party, but they're out there recruiting people for jobs. There's the recruiter salespeople. Their job is to go to companies like IBM and try to sell the fact that they have candidates in their pool and that they should sign a contract with them. Those are the recruiter salespeople. And then there's the sourcers. The sourcers are the people we don't like, but we absolutely have to have. The sourcers are the ones that give you a call and say, hey, I've got this great opportunity for you. You should send me your resume. And you're like, great, you send them your resume. And then you never hear back from them. What they're doing is they're trying to fill 2 pools. One is they're trying to fill the sales pool, so when they go to IBM, they can say, I have 50 project managers in my list of candidates, potential candidates, you should contact me. So the sourcer doesn't necessarily have a job, okay, a job for you, but they're trying to fill the pool. But the back side of it is they are also the person that feeds the job to the recruiter, the candidates to the recruiter when they do have positions. So they go out and find those candidates. So my thing is, don't get upset if you don't hear back from recruiters, okay? If that happens, one, they've never been so busy in their entire lives. We are in an upside-down market. We have more jobs than we've ever had, and we don't have enough candidates. And it is a very helpful thing.
I've just found that when you do the reading and the liking of articles, a lot of times, especially with recruiters, they're trying to get people like that for the club to speak. I can actually start a conversation with them because they get so excited that somebody actually read what they read.
Right? Oh, and put comments in those articles, right? And then and share articles yourself. And that's, to me, that's one of the easiest things you can do. The next time you're in the bathroom and reading an article, because that's where we do all our news reading. Next time you're reading an article that's in your industry, share it on LinkedIn and put a question in there. Don't just say, oh, this is interesting. Put a question in there. Oh, I read this article and I found that rolling the toilet paper on the outside is better than rolling it on the inside, right? When you put it on the wall. And so, what are your thoughts, right? So turn it into a question. That way people will respond, and then you can start those conversations like she said. And then when they respond, it's going to bump up your SEO too.
Is it still true that you see
job listings for people that are connected to a particular company. So it used to be that there was an advantage to being connected to, say, somebody at IBM.
Yeah.
Because you would see job postings for somebody at IBM.
I'm not necessarily seeing that or hearing about that. Yeah,
In my opinion, it's flipped. Like when you go to the job, if you go into LinkedIn and you're looking at a job you want to apply for, it will show if you've got connections to that company in the job posting.
Yeah, within the job posting you can find it. That's what you're saying, right? You can find those connections there. Yeah.
But you can also connect to IBM recruiters. So what you can do, which I do all the time, is I'll go online on LinkedIn, and then once a week I'll search for a recruiter in my field. And it'll tell you if they're current or past recruiter. And it'll also tell you, what type of recruiter they are in that specific company. So it'll bring up all kinds of recruiters that are not only for that, but I have to specify what I'm looking for. So I'll put in recruiter, pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah.
It'll bring up all the recruiters for pharmaceutical, and then I connect to like 10 of them.
And she had asked me a question about recruiters earlier today before we met. The way the recruiters are working now, actually meeting with recruiters sometimes just doesn't add value anymore. They have so many jobs and they might not have the job that they have for you. But if you connect with them on LinkedIn, you're now in their database. And so when something does come up, then you can, may reach out to you. And so for those of you that didn't hear what she said, what she was saying is go out and search for recruiters in your industry. So if you are in healthcare, search on recruiter healthcare. If you're in IT, search on recruiter IT or recruiter technology. If you're in sales, recruiter sales. And you can get more specialized if you want, but that's the best way to get connected with recruiters. A recruiter will tell you that, yes. But especially for software developers, and that's where you came from, right? Especially, they'll tell you that because they don't want you to go to other recruiters because they might have the same job as somebody else. So no, that is not a true statement. They don't want to lose you as a candidate as a software developer. That's where we're going to see it more. So yes, of course they're going to tell you that. They want to make sure nobody else is stealing you away from them. She was next. You were next, and then somebody back there.
Do you have a premium?
I don't.
Okay. I don't either, but I know somebody who does, and some of you people who have a premium can maybe look at this, but there's maybe on LinkedIn Learning or something, there's something about how recruiters use LinkedIn. And one of the settings, the search settings that they look at is that you've been in your current job for 1 to 5 years. And we always tell people you have to have a current job posting, a current job. So we say create a job, whether it's your job title and then,
independent consultant.
Or if you want to say you're a consultant or whatever, but you have to have a current job or it won't come up. But this person that just became a recruiter who now has access to all of that said that lots of times recruiters will use that where they'll say you have to be in your current job for 1 to 5 years. So
it's not. So they're adding a lot of those capabilities. So the reason why they're doing that, right, is because one is because they know people have figured this out. That LinkedIn, you actually sometimes will not even show up in search criteria if you don't have current or present as your most recent job. If you don't have it in there, the same thing happens in the applicant tracking system. They will rule you out that way if you're not current. The main reason they're doing that is because they're afraid that since you're not working, there must be something wrong with you. There's an assumption. Right, and that's never the case, or very seldom the case, especially in the IT industry where we go through layoffs and all those kind of things all the time. And so there isn't really a workaround for that, unfortunately, other than if you do put something in that says you're an independent contractor, you're darn well better put a company name where you're doing the contracting with. So find somebody that can represent that says you're doing some work for them. And I've had some clients that have been doing work for Launchpad and some of those other activities that you were talking about, that other organization where you can put in that you've been doing something, so you can show that you've actually been doing something. That'll help a little bit. But there's not much you can do to bypass that. But I don't think all the recruiters are doing that. I spoke at Austin PMI, did a big career day there about 2 months ago, and we had several recruiters there, and I had the opportunity to put them on the spot in front of everybody, which was a lot of fun. And a lot of them said, no, you know, the passive versus active job searcher, they do want passive job searchers if they can, but really in this market, if they can find a body that has the skills that they're looking for, they're going to try and find them today. So, yeah, so that's helpful. I think it was...
Two things. One thing which I've always experienced, as you said, passive job searcher, right now I'm taking some time off the mark, is if you have a strong LinkedIn profile, they're going to call you, no matter what. I've never really applied for a job, and I've been in consulting for a number of years. Also, you have to, if you're willing to work throughout the nation, it gives you a better opportunity situation.
It can. It can.
And the third thing that you mentioned, do volunteer work. Do volunteer work, and if you're doing volunteer work, put that on the resume.
That's a way to get a name in there on your resume for your most recent position. That is a very good point. That's one of the things I do as well. We do that with returning parents after being out of the workforce for a little while. Okay. I know we've got a bunch of questions, but how much time do we have?
Oh, you can go till at least 1:45.
Okay, good.
We may have at least.
Okay.
Touching on what he brought up, and a number of people have, moved, the geography has changed. Okay, for the problem, maybe a common problem, I'm not just trying to eat up my time, but your time, with my time. But in terms of, I'm making a transition from Florida to Austin, Texas. And it was my last job that I still want to promote, because I was doing it for a while, and I like it, and that's more what I'm looking for. So I haven't even posted my Austin job. But by the same token, I don't want to keep advertising Florida. I don't want to post Austin, Texas, because they're asking me for, well, what's your job? And I have one. And so I finally just surrendered and put USA. But I would rather put Austin, but it's inconsistent with my job title from my last job, because that actually is very Florida-based.
I'm not understanding where the concern is about. You should put where your location is you want to work. So are you talking about the location where the job is? Or are you talking about the location in the profile?
Says Austin, Texas.
Yes.
And I can put Austin, Texas, but then it appears, I'll just type, it appears as, well, wait a minute, the last job, I mean, it even has the word Florida in it. And then it says Austin, Texas.
No, that's okay. This is the location where you're at. That has nothing to do with anything. They want to know where you're at.
They want to know where you want to work.
Yeah, exactly, where you want to work. So this should be where you want to work. If you want to work in Florida, then Florida. If you say U.S., it opens you up to the U.S. The problem is when you just do United States here, you're not going to show up in the local searches. And so that's going to limit you. So this is where you want to search. And so this is what you should do. So, and I'm going to advise you very cautiously is if you did W-2 work, in other words, you're an employee, and when you're applying for a job, if you don't have all your W-2 work on your job application, so if you're ignoring the position you have right now, that's a major no-no. That's
No, I understand.
Okay.
I'm an attorney. I understand.
Okay, yeah, okay, good.
But for the purposes of LinkedIn.
It's a marketing tool. It's a marketing tool. I do say, like she had mentioned, having present on there, or current, for a current job on there is huge. And so if you do not have in your, if you don't have down here, and I don't like using these kind of mice, so bear with me. I'm still old school, having a real mouse. Hate that I'm aging myself. All right, and so down here, where this location is in your most recent position isn't that big of a deal. Okay, they just want to see that you're working. But what is important is that you have a job that says present right there. And if you don't, and that's what she's mentioning, you can put something like consulting in there or whatever if it's not related, if you want to do something like that. But just be cautious about what you do in your application. All right, so I do want to get going on some of these, and then we can do some more questions at the end. I just want to make sure we get through all these slides here. Oops, not too far. Okay. Photo is part of your brand. And this is one of the things I hate most about LinkedIn is that we have to have our picture on there, and if you don't, it lowers you down on SEO. And I hate it because it's one of the best ways for companies to discriminate against you right away. And you can't put in some random picture or something you think is funny, and don't put on some wedding picture that you're in just because it's your best picture with the tuxedo or whatever, because we can see those bloodshot eyes. So don't put those on there. You don't have to go to a professional photographer to get your picture taken, okay? Our smartphones, cameras are so good that we don't have to do that, okay? What I suggest that you do is either standing up or sitting down, have somebody take a picture of you. Don't sit like this because then you look like a mugshot. Turn just a little bit, just like I did in the picture, just turn just a little bit. Get a light behind you on this side, a light behind you on this side. That'll get some light behind you to cover some of those shadows when the flash is coming at you. Have the person in front of you taking the picture. Make sure it's like not a white wall, because we don't want to, once again, look like a mugshot. And have them take pictures and say things like smile, laugh, giggle, frown, growl, cough, whatever. And then just take a bunch of pictures. And then you can go through and find out which ones are the best. It doesn't have to be professional. And then you can just, crop it down to the right size and all those kind of things. Now, the cool thing with both Android and iPhone now is you can blur the background now. And so when you blur the background, it makes your photo pop out even more. So take advantage of those tools on your phone and get yourself a photo that works really well. They recommend a size between 400 by 400 pixels, but no larger than 4320, so they'll shrink it down for you. You don't have to worry about any of that. You do want to make sure when you're in here, your photo represents your career and your industry. So what I mean by that, if you're in the banking industry, a suit and tie is appropriate if you're in your picture. If you're in the high-tech space, even if you're a vice president in the tech space, a suit and tie is never appropriate. Okay, and so even sales directors and vice presidents are going into interviews dressed like me, wearing a polo shirt and slacks. And so you dress one level above what they do in the company in general, right? You've probably been told that before. And that's how you want to do it in your picture as well, one level above what they're looking for in your standard industry, okay? And in Austin, it is almost always button-down shirt for men, button-down shirt, and that's all you see in the picture anyway. So button-down shirt, and that's pretty much it. For women, just a nice blouse is good enough. And if you want to do a light jacket kind of thing, but not like a sweater like she's wearing here, that's perfect. Okay, it shouldn't be a big old suit jacket. Okay, that's not Austin, and it's showing you don't understand what the culture is around here, and especially if you're older. It can actually be worse for you because you're not really understanding. And never, for men, never a white shirt. You don't want that IBM-ish kind of stuffy feeling that used to be at a long time ago. And like I said, it should be a photo of you. So, all right. So make sure you put the city, like you had said, make sure it's the city where you want to work. You corrected me, I said the city where you live, but it is the city where you want to work. You want to try and connect with, try to get to 500 people, but I'll tell you what, there's a little secret a lot of people don't know, and I figured this out years ago. About 120 connections is a magic number. Up until that point, LinkedIn assumes you're a potential spammer. And they will give you a limited amount of searches. I don't know if you've ever noticed that you've searched some companies and all of a sudden it comes back and yells at you and you can't search anymore. It'll yell at you and tell you can't add any more connections, things like that. That number seems to be somewhere between 100 and 120. I haven't been able to narrow it down, but that's good enough. I'm not going to try any more than that. But right around 120 is a magic number, and the next big magic number is 500 plus, and that'll give you more searches without getting timed out. Okay, and so because they want to make sure you're there. This box, and you'd mentioned this earlier in the training as well, this box here that describes your brand, by default it comes in and says what your most recent position is, right? So it would be career coach at careerbrandingexperts.com, right? Well, this is not meant and it's not meant anymore as your current position. This is your branding statement. So this is the most important keyword field in all of LinkedIn. If you do not have the job titles you're going after in here, you are not going to show up in the searches. Or if you will, if you do, it might be not until about the 10th, 20th page. And so you want to get those real words. So if you're a product manager, you want to put in product manager. If you're a technical product manager, make sure you have product manager and the word technical in there. If you're a project manager, put that in there. If you're sales, if you're going after sales, then you should have a sales representative. You should have, if you want to do partner sales, put partner sales. If you want to do territory sales, put those terms in there. If you don't have those terms in there, you're not going to show up high. Maybe putting a little bit of a tagline if you want is helpful, but it's more important to get those titles in there that you're going after. And that's why I use the pipe. A lot of people don't know that's what that's called, but it's called the pipe. That's the key that's right above the enter key, that little line that's right above the enter key on the keyboard. And I use that as a delimiter, and a lot of other people do out there. You can also go to LinkedIn symbols. Just search on Google LinkedIn symbols, and you're going to find some really cool symbols that you can throw in there as well. And I use those in some of my profile. And then, so see, I've got my tagline in there, guiding you to success. And so, what else? Oh yeah, use the same name that's on your resume when you're doing that. All right, writing an effective summary statement. So this is the About section now. It used to be called the Summary section. It is now called the About section. I think they're trying to align with what everybody else is doing. You want to basically sell your brand, and you want to do it in first person. I know on resumes we do not include the personal pronouns. I, me, mine, thank you. We don't include those on the resume. We do that on LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm going to hate that. I hate when I say this, but you got to put the social and social media, even though I told you it's not social media. But we've got to put the I's, the personal pronouns in here. And so tell a little story about what you're bringing in. This is your executive summary. This should be the same summary statement that's in your resume. You can expand on a little bit if you want, but it should be still that same executive summary that you have at the top of your resume. Bring in some notable projects. Make it stand out to prove that you are who you say you are, okay? Even if you haven't, if you're making that transition, you're transitioning into customer experience, that's what it was, and you were doing engineering, okay. And so talk about the things that you did related to customer experience, even if it was from school, right? So talk about those kind of school projects. This is how you can really sell yourself. Get those keywords in there. Notice I'm even putting the titles in there again. Project manager. Now, this is a project manager one. But say I got project manager, program manager, product owner, project. I'm putting those words in there again. Everybody knows we're doing this for keyword searching, right? So let's just do it. And so I just throw it in there. I call it specialties. This is legacy. It goes back to 10 plus years ago. That's how we used to put our specialties in there. And so those have been around for a while. It's still there. Okay. Yeah. And then, of course, get those keywords in there, too, related to projects, international projects, things like that.
Where would you go to, let's say you put a couple of keywords in, like program manager or something. Where do you go if you want to update that? You thought of a new keyword you want to add. Can you edit that?
So there's a couple places. Well, so when it comes to keywords, they should be scattered throughout your resume. Okay, so and in your LinkedIn profile. So you know, engagement, right? In project management, engagement is a word that's used a lot, right? And so that's not going to probably be a keyword that they're going to search on, but having them in here, it doesn't matter where it is in your profile. It just needs to be there so it'll show up in the searches.
But there's also an option where you let recruiters know that you're looking for a job and they give you fields to put some keywords in.
So not in the let recruiters know you're looking for positions. And that's changing, unfortunately. You can put in titles.
Yeah, but I
but there's no keywords. Okay. If we have time, we'll look at that. We've got about 15 more minutes, but if we have time, I'll show you that. Okay, so make sure you use the SAR or STAR technique. You guys are familiar with that, situation, action, result. So it should be what's in your resume. You're not changing this you're not adding the personal pronouns in here. We're just doing it in the about section, okay? Make sure, if you are in a field that numbers are important, that you have numbers in there. So those fields would, of course, be any executive level position, or if you're trying to get a promotion, making sure you get any kind of numbers, quantitative values that you can. Certain positions like software developers, they don't have to be quantitative. We're not looking for that. So if you do work with numbers, then you should put them in there, like customer success positions. They're working with KPIs and other figures, so you want to throw those kind of things in there.
Did you have some bullets and some arrows just to differentiate the different kinds of? So this was a sub-bullet. Yeah, so the way I did this was because they're sub-bullets because we can't do special formatting. So the bullets are sub-bullets to the arrows?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the LinkedIn symbols, you can actually do much more. I didn't update this one for that. I thought I already did it, and then I looked at the slide last night, and I'm like, should put those symbols in there. But yeah, so that was the easy way to do it. But yeah, that's how I ended up doing that, to get those sub-bullets in there.
On the dates
Yes.
For your experiments.
Yep.
If you were laid off in 2019, then it looks like you're still working, and I'm not able to change that because it's asking for the year of your experience.
I didn't follow that.
So if you're under your program,
Yeah.
under experience,
Yes.
your last job,
Yes.
if you were laid off in 2019,
Yes.
I'm not able to put a month there. So it looks like I'm still working there.
Yeah, I actually don't recommend putting months, even though I have it in there.
I don't even know how to change it.
Oh, it's, remind me if we have time, and, okay, cool. All right, so education, don't include dates, just like on your resume. After you get 5, 6 years out of college, then we don't generally put dates in there. Certifications, make sure the certifications align with your brand. Now, Toastmasters, I'd like to give that as an example because some brands it doesn't really align, but it's also a social organization, and so many people are involved in Toastmasters, and it becomes almost a clicky group, and so it's actually a good thing to put Toastmasters in there, even if your position doesn't have anything to do with presentations, because of those kind of reasons. But try and keep your certifications that are in there aligned with your brand, even on your resume as well. And a lot of times when people put in the language field, they'll put in Spanish, and I'm sorry, I looked at you when I said Spanish. but they'll put in like Spanish, but they'll forget to put in English, right? And so you've got to put in if you're going to put in at least one language, you got to put in both languages when you're doing that. So. A volunteer, absolutely put in any volunteer work that you do. Austin is such a volunteer-friendly town, and if you do anything with dogs, that's a big getter. All right, get those recommendations. So if you haven't gotten any recommendations in 5, 6 years, get some updated recommendations. Go ask for recommendations, and when you ask for recommendations, don't go with the default where it says, hi Scott, can you recommend me? Don't say that. Say, hey, I hope everything's going well. I'm wondering if you're willing to recommend me. Please, to make it easier, write about these 3 things. Okay, so tell them what those things are. So for like project management, talk about my project management skills. Talk about my leadership skills. Talk about my communication skills. And tell them what to write about. That'll help not just strengthen your brand, but it'll help them, because the first thing, if you just send a generic one, they're going to send a note back to you and say, I don't know what to write about. What should I write about? So you might as well just tell them right up front what to write about. Okay.
You know what, I've been through this AD&D, and I may confuse it with LinkedIn, but now they're testing me. What are these badges? Is that LinkedIn?
It's LinkedIn. And I don't know what I think about that yet.
Because it's like, okay, they give you, and then they grade. In fact, I might score kind of high, but
The good news is you don't have to put the badges on there if you don't want to.
but they always ask.
It's brand new. I've never been a big fan of assessments, even though I'm a career coach. I've never been a big fan of assessments. They're great for to get a general idea about something, but some people are just bad test takers, and they're brilliant in their job. I don't know, honestly. It's a brand new feature. So it's only been around for, what, a month maybe or two? So it's a brand new feature. Okay. Oh yeah, when you get your recommendations, former bosses, anybody with a CIEIL title. Did you guys catch that? Okay, that was my joke. All right. Executive leaders, customers, vendors, team members, peers, get a mixture. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that they're looking for. Just to rehash, update your profile, use those keywords, use those standard job titles, keep your account active, make sure you connect with people, get recommended and endorsed, get out of the way so those of you that are taking pictures, join groups, prove that you are a subject matter expert.